Now we've officially moved on from summer into autumn and we're getting ready for all the exciting things we've got coming up for the rest of the year. I wanted to do something I don't do very often here on the channel and just have a quick look back at what has been without doubt the best summer of our lives. And more importantly, I wanted to thank you for making it happen, because without the outstanding support you've all given us over the last 3 years, there's no way a summer like this could have happened. Being full-time YouTubers has opened so many doors for us, and I fully acknowledge that a lot of the stuff we've done over the last few months is because of the privileged position you've put us in by subscribing, liking, viewing and sharing our videos. But you've given us an even bigger gift than that. You've given us time. Through watching the adverts in our videos, backing our Patreon, buying our merch and supporting the brands we choose to work with, you've given me the gift of spending a summer with my family. Possibly the last summer we'll ever get to spend together. Lucy's now gone off to university, Anna finishes university and will be starting her career in 2020, and Andy and Amy aren't far behind them. It's pretty unlikely we'll ever be able to have a summer like this one again, so thank you for making this one possible. Thank you for your ongoing support, and goodness me, am I grateful we didn't mess it up. This summer was the first time we've ever been able to go on proper family holidays. Last year's trip to Blackpool for a couple of nights was Andy's first ever holiday at the age of 14, and once we realised he could do that, we wasted no time getting our dream holiday booked for this year. We thought our trip to Disneyland Paris would be the high point of our year, and it was fantastic. So good, in fact, that we've already booked to go back next year. But instead of it being the high point of the year, it was really just the starting point for all the awesome stuff that followed. Disneyland Paris was our first ever holiday as a full family of 5, but we didn't waste any time going on our second one, heading to Bournemouth for a few days a couple of months later. That trip was super important to us because it's a place I used to go to a lot as a kid, and also somewhere I used to take the girls when they were younger. But we hadn't been back for years and we had an awesome time. And of course, we have to say an extra special thank you to Paul and Shaz, who both kindly sent us leisure vouchers that we used to pay for the hotel on that trip. Without their help, it never would have happened. We'd well and truly been bitten by the travel bug at that point, and as soon as we were back from Bournemouth, we started planning and trying to figure out where we could go next and how we could pay for it. We used the last few leisure vouchers to get Andy the night in a Premier Inn in Nottingham that he'd been asking for months, and the girls got a weekend in London with me for summer in the city, and that wasn't even Lucy's first trip to London of the year, because she'd been down to see the Strokes live in London on Comic-Con weekend a few months before, just before we went to Disneyland. Our new knack for bargain hunting holidays continued with our Belgium trip, which will forever be the best value holiday we'll ever go on. Taking advantage of our Tesco Club Card vouchers, we managed to book the Eurotunnel and the hotel for just £7 in total. And before we knew it, we were back under the sea for the second time in a few months, and Andy got to have the time of his life watching a 47 bell concert at Rouge Belfry. We finished off our summer of travel just a week ago with a fantastic weekend at Centre Parks in Sherwood Forest. Big thanks again to the lovely people at Centre Parks for sending us on that trip. We'd never done an activity weekend before, but we've all looked into archery lessons since we've been home, and just like when we went to Disneyland and the Premier Inn for the first time, Andy's now planning his next trip and can't wait to go back to Centre Parks at some point next year. On top of all those fantastic holidays, we've also had some brilliant days out. We were lucky enough to spend the hottest day of the year on the beach, twice. First time round in Skegness, and then again when we were down in Bournemouth. We've been to the beach a lot in recent years because it's one of Andy's favourite places, but this was the first time since I was a kid that it's been warm enough for me to swim in the sea. Andy also found a new favourite city when we had a random unplanned trip to Cambridge that he enjoyed so much that he spent the next few weeks researching and planning a return trip where he led us through the city, seeing all the churches and buildings that he'd found online. Although he'd planned trips to Nottingham before, that's his hometown, and he was doing it based on memories of things he'd enjoyed. This was the first time he'd ever planned a trip just by researching it on the internet. We got another opportunity to work with a brand we love when Legoland offered us tickets to go and spend a day in the park and check out their fantastic new sensory room. Legoland Windsor is our favourite UK theme park, so we jumped at the chance to spend the day there, but we weren't expecting to reap the rewards of a seed we'd planted with Andy over a year before. Until this summer, Andy had never been to London. He refused every time we asked him. But we drove past the London Eye on the way home from Legoland last year, so this year when we told him we were going back to Legoland, he asked to actually go on the London Eye on the way home. After years of trying to get him to London, we finally got him there on his own terms, and now he's been there, he can't wait to go back. So expect another London trip with Andy soon as we start to explore some of the other sites that we know he'll love. This was one of the proudest moments of our summer because it really showed the benefit of taking the pressure off, planting a seed of an idea, and then just letting him work through it at his own pace. Over a year passed between those two Legoland trips, but the idea of the London Eye never left him, and it all worked out brilliantly in the end. And it wasn't just Andy who finally got to do something we'd all talked about for years. The girls finally got to visit a cat cafe, something they'd wanted to do for as long as they've known they exist, but we've just never managed to fit it in before. The Kitty Cafe in Nottingham was fantastic. If you like cats the way they like cats, you really have to pay it a visit if you're ever in town. And of course, we wouldn't be us if we didn't manage to add a nerdy spin to all this family stuff. So me and Anna also got a weekend doing what we love when we hosted MGPX in Peterborough, our own video games convention and live podcast performance. It was the nerdiest weekend in the world, but we had a great time, and massive thanks to everyone who came and made it so much fun, and of course to Matt Quine who sponsored the event. It wouldn't have happened without him. Holidays and days out weren't the only reason this summer was so great. This was also the summer where we started making some huge leaps forward in our ongoing autism awareness campaign. I moderated the first ever neurodiversity panel at a major convention anywhere in the world at the start of the summer at London Comic Con, along with the Aspie World, Holly Vlogs and Con Award. The popularity of that panel took everyone by surprise. We were standing room only, and we've already been booked to go back to London Comic Con again in October. Off the back of this, I was also invited to moderate a similar panel at Summer in the City, this time with Dan Jones and Siren joining the Aspie World on the panel. And talking of the Aspie World, he's now taken the panel international, taking it to VidCon in California in July, and that has to be a goal for me for next year, or maybe the year after. Flights to America are expensive. In addition to continuing to raise autism awareness, we also continue to raise money for the National Autistic Society, with our community donating almost £2,000 to our Jungle Run campaign. That brought our total amount raised for the National Autistic Society since we started vlogging at the start of 2017 to over £12,500, which is a staggeringly big number for a community of our size. So thank you. And we didn't just hit that huge fundraising milestone this summer, we also hit some pretty awesome personal milestones too. As mentioned earlier in the video, Lucy started university a year early at just 17 years old, a full 10 years younger than I was when I started uni. Andy ate a full meal for the first time, combining fish fingers and waffles on the same plate, something we never thought we'd see him do, but now he eats that every day. He followed that up with his first ever McDonald's Happy Meal, eating all his fish fingers along with a few chips and some tomato sauce, again something we never thought we'd see him do. He also got to spend some time with his friends outside of school this summer, something he'd never done before, which gave us the opportunity to meet some of his friends, both at a birthday party where he had a great time, and at Ferry Meadows in Peterborough, where we got to witness firsthand Andy sharing an interest with a friend, which was mind-blowing for us as we'd never seen him do anything like that before. I know there'll be some people who watch this video and see it just as a way of us bragging or showing off, but I know the majority of you will see this video for what it actually is. We've just had the best summer of our lives, and it's all thanks to this community and this channel and the support you continue to show us. I made this video not to brag, but to show what you've helped us achieve, to see the difference you've made in our lives from where we were just a couple of years ago. You've changed all of our lives, and we're more grateful than I could ever put into words. Thank you for your support, thank you for the best summer of our lives, and thank you for watching. Now we need to figure out how to make next year even better.